posted by you/note moving in _. I'm very annoyed, he didn't even speak to me about it. We had so many discussions about moving in together, getting married, and then he goes and purchases a truck $2,000 more than his yearly salary. If you're asking how can a truck be $87,000, that's the price you get when you put every addition you want on it. He showed me the truck expecting me to be excited, and I was livid. When he bought this truck, we were only a month from moving in together. We got into a bad argument where he told me it was his money and he could do whatever he wanted with it. So I said fine, and I told him I'm not comfortable moving in with him anymore. I asked my landlord if my apartment was still available and if I could renew my lease, and they said yes. Now my boyfriend is saying he can't afford his place and his truck. I don't feel bad. You should have thought of that before buying something so expensive without talking to your girlfriend of 2 years. I have had some of his friends' girlfriends reach out to me and say I should support him, and one even said that I'm not loyal and this shows I wouldn't support him if we were married since I run away when finances get bad. That's total BS. He didn't lose his job or get hurt. He bought an expensive item without discussing it. I have been trying to get him to return the truck because it's already affecting his finances badly. He has only had this truck for 2 weeks, and he is worried that in the next month or two, he won't be able to cover all the expenses he usually has. This past weekend, we had another argument, and I think our relationship is going to end. I'm not helping him pay for this truck, and I'm not moving in with him. I have asked for a break and will be thinking about what to do. Edit. I appreciate the different opinions everyone has given me. I have a lot to think about. To answer 2 questions, no, he doesn't need the truck. He works from home, and if he has to check in at work, he has an office. Also, his friends and their girlfriends know about this issue because he asked for their views when we went to a get-together last week. Only 2 girlfriends reached out to me to tell me I wasn't being supportive, the others have minded their own business. Update 6 days later. Yeah, so I broke up with him mainly because I realized we aren't financially compatible. Before I go into what happened, I do want to say something. I understand we weren't married, but we were both moving together into a new place and had several discussions about this move and our plans for the future, including marriage. For the people private messaging me saying it's his money and he can do whatever he wants or, you're only 2 years into a relationship, you're not a wife, I know that, and I have never asked what is in his bank account or told him what to do financially. I'm aware it is his money, but I also know his financial situation, and he was making decisions without my input that, if we were to stay together, would not only affect him but also our relationship, and our financial situation for years to come. I will stay on this hill. This is not okay, and if it's okay for you, that's fine, but for me, if we make a financial plan and you make a huge decision without me, I won't be okay with it, and that's a big reason why I backed out of moving into a new apartment with him. I would have never made a decision like this without his input at all. The main reason why we decided to move in together was to take the next step in our relationship but also to pay down our debts. I now have $22,000 in debt from student loans and a car. When I met him, though, it was around $60,000, and I was basically living on credit cards. Within the first couple of months of us dating, I saw how hard he worked, and with a salary of $85,000, he was making huge progress in paying off his loans and credit cards. On my end, at the time, I was only making $50,000. I honestly saw his work ethic and was like, wow, and got serious about my debt. I got a second part-time job where I was making $32,000 a year, bringing my salary to $82,000. I did that so that I could pay off my debts faster but also so that we could be on equal footing when we moved in together and he didn't have to pay significantly more in living expenses than me when he had more debt. We did a complete budget months before we moved in together and realized that we would each have $700 extra a month to put towards our own individual budgets. This is why the purchase of this truck was so surprising to me. We had planned this move for months. We had a budget, and he destroyed that plan with the truck. If he wanted a new car, there are plenty of cars he could have gotten that would have fit into the $700 monthly surplus he had. Anyway, for the past few days before we broke up, he tried to show me that this truck was a good financial purchase and we could still move in together. He told me that he had actually budgeted for this and could show me how he could afford this. I wanted to hear him out, so I went to his place, and he had 2 budgets. He said he had been thinking of getting this truck for some time and he had worked out a budget beforehand. He showed me the first budget, and after his truck, insurance, expenses, and his debts, he was left with $115 for the month. I noticed with the first budget, he didn't include groceries, his hobbies, going out, or even gas for his car. I asked him how $115 was enough to live off for an entire month. I asked him how he could afford all of this and his truck, and if he planned to give up some things. He said no, he didn't plan to give up anything and that he could make everything work in his budget. I asked him what if he had an emergency or needed gas for his truck, and he just kept saying he would work it out without explaining how. After I saw the first budget, I asked to see the documents for the car, and that's how I found out the truck price was $95,000 total after taxes, registration, and fees. He traded in his reliable 2003 Toyota and all his savings to get a loan at 14% for 72 months. His monthly payment is now $1,966 and insurance is $573. He also still has significant student loans. I kept telling him $115 left over monthly wasn't enough. That's when he showed me his second budget, which had a combined higher monthly income. I asked him if he was getting a second job, and he said due to his job relying on him to be on call, he couldn't. I asked where the income was coming from, and this man said, "Well, you're getting a raise soon." I froze because I had mentioned this raise once months ago. My first job is my career job, and I work in a field where when you hit certain milestones, you get a pay bump. In September, if my raise is approved, I will go from $50K to $80K, and with my second job, my total yearly income will be $112K. But getting the raise isn't a guarantee. You have to meet certain criteria, and if you don't, you have to wait 3 months before trying again. When he said that, I was quiet, and then I said, "So you planned a budget that included additional income that I wouldn't get for at least 6 months and income that I might not even get in September?" He said when I got my raise, the ratio of what he would pay would decrease, and he would have more disposable income. I asked him why it was okay for him to plan budgets with my income but yet I had no say in how he spent his. He couldn't answer that. I told him I had no issue with paying more bills if I got a raise, but the fact that he banked on that, didn't discuss it, and now expects me to be okay with this is ridiculous. I also said there's no way I wouldn't be paying more with the first budget because he wouldn't have been able to survive on $115. I told him he didn't communicate, and this is on him because he made huge financial plans without discussing anything. Finally, I told him I would never have done any of this without going to him first because I thought we were a team that was building something. I ended things the next day, and he has been trying to reach out, but I'm not interested. He has financially crippled himself with his truck. If with my income now, he could barely make it, he surely isn't making it on his own. I really hope that things work out for him and he is able to keep his truck and recover, but I'm not paying the consequences for such a massive financial mistake that's going to hugely affect him for years to come. If I were to stay, this financial decision affects me as well and would continue to affect both of us for years. Again, this is different from becoming ill or losing a job. He chose this and refuses to budge and fix it. I now realize we are not financially compatible, and that's okay, and I wish him the best. Second update 6 months 2 weeks later. Hi everyone. So I posted a few months ago about a situation I was dealing with regarding my ex and him buying a car without telling me. I really doubted myself when I first made the post because I had received such strong negative reactions from others about wanting to back out of the move. I appreciate the comments I got, not only on the post but through messages as well. It really helped solidify for me that the feelings I had about the situation shouldn't be ignored. So thank you, everyone, for responding because it saved me financially. Looking back at the situation now, months later, I can see that I was being set up to be financially abused. When I broke up with my ex, I thought we were financially incompatible and that, unfortunately, it took this large purchase for me to realize it. But I can see now that's not the case. My ex made a plan in his head, and what made sense to him was for me to pay most of the expenses, and he thought this was okay and that I should be okay with it too. Even though I can see the reality of what he was trying to do, I can't hate my ex because he helped start me on this path of looking at my finances. I remember when we first started dating, I went to pay for an item I was getting, and my card declined. Without batting an eye, even though it was a little embarrassing, I took out another card and paid. I was used to this happening every once in a while because I was literally living paycheck to paycheck. I'm not putting down to anyone in that situation, but at the time, I was living way above my means. I would justify every single want and get it, and I thought that because I was making minimum payments on time, I wasn't as bad off as the next person. When the situation with my card happened, after we got back to my ex's car, he kindly asked if this type of thing happened often. I told him it did sometimes, and he basically gave me advice. He didn't try to force me to stop spending. He asked me to track my purchases and recommended a few apps. During the first 2 months that we were seeing each other, he would encourage me every other day, or every once in a while, to just track what I spent. He suggested that I shop as I usually did but track everything. Being able to see how much I was spending, especially when broken down into categories, was astounding. There was one month I spent $68 on bagels. It wasn't for work, and it wasn't for other people. It was me stopping at a bagel place every morning and getting a bagel. Sometimes I get variations, which is why the bagels cost so much. Once I realized how much I was spending on unnecessary things, my ex helped me create a plan that worked for me, and that plan has continued to work consistently. I've added to it, changed things, or tweaked it as my financial situation has improved, and so far so good. This is why I don't have any bad feelings toward my ex. He never pushed me to pay my bills in front of him. He never saw credit card statements on apps or anything, he only kept encouraging me to look at my finances and fix them. He helped give me the foundation to start managing my finances, and I thought we were on the same page. Because he was so strict about finances and frugal, the truck purchase came as such a surprise to me. It was unplanned, not discussed, involved a large amount of money, and just knowing his general financial situation, I know without a doubt there was no way he could afford that truck. I'm not trying to paint my ex as a saint. I'm simply explaining why he had such a positive impact on me financially. So when the truck purchase happened and he refused to budge, I was honestly shocked. Seeing how bad the situation was, I had to walk away. It's been about 6 months since everything happened, and I'm doing very well. I recently paid off my student loans last month. Now, I only have my car left, with just a few grand to pay off. I also have a small savings. Because of that, I've shifted my focus and am putting the majority of my income toward my car. I'm not rich by any means, but I'm definitely living within my means, and I'm okay with that. The last 2 things I want to update on are my raise and my ex's truck. A few people messaged me about the raise, and unfortunately, I didn't get it due to a big mistake I made on a project. Once I realized the mistake, I knew it would jeopardize my chances because it happened so close to my evaluation, and as expected, I didn't get the raise. But I fixed the mistake, and when I get reevaluated in 3 months, I'm hopeful I'll get it this time. Losing the possibility of the raise made me realize even more that I made the right decision because I would be in such a tough spot right now if I hadn't ended my relationship. With my ex, we've spoken only once, and that was when we broke up. I cut off communication completely because he was still trying to fix things without addressing the truck and the fact that he was keeping it. I know from someone close to him that, 4 months after we broke up, he did a voluntary repossession. I also know the truck is gone because he deleted all the pictures he had of it. I was actually relieved to hear that, for his sake, because hopefully, he can start fixing the situation he got himself into. I genuinely want the best for my ex, and I don't know the thought process that led him to get the truck or what might have influenced him, but I hope he can get back to where he was and make further improvements. The relationship is finished, and there is no hope of rekindling anything. Even though he returned the truck, I could never go back to him because the trust is gone. It wasn't just about the money, it was also about him making such an important decision without me, expecting me to go along with it, and then vilifying me when I had legitimate concerns. I can't move past that. Yes, money isn't everything, but I can't stop thinking about what my life would be like now if I had stayed. My student loans wouldn't be paid off. We would both be broke and in worse financial positions. All of these factors would have negatively affected the relationship, making it unhealthy. I'm glad we broke up, and I have forgiven him for what he tried to do to me. I stand by, and will continue to stand by, the belief that finances are a deal breaker, especially when your partner isn't listening to you and makes decisions that impact both of you. If you don't agree, that's fine, but these last few months have proved that to me. So that's my longish update, and again, I really want to say thank you to everyone who responded to my first post. I was honestly leaning toward staying with him and not moving in, and I think in the long run, I would have been financially devastated and taken advantage of. Reading the different opinions made me realize not only how bad the situation was but also how much worse it could have gotten, so thanks. A very, very, very small humble brag, I posted my paid-in-full student loan email on my profile, so if you want to see it, you can click that post, but no pressure. Sorry, I'm just so proud of that fact, okay, bye.